Today's video is for all of my DIY friends out there and weekend warriors who love to flip furniture on the side, or even if it's full time. This is specifically on how to square up something that has been racked out of position. Step one is to remove the old back panels, because usually they are made of junk material like MDF or compressed cardboard. The second step is going to be to use a 1/4 inch or 3/16 inch, if that's what you have, plywood for your new back panel that you're going to cut slightly smaller but perfectly square to itself than the new back. Make sure it's a singular panel, and by perfectly square I mean that it's square to itself. Now when you shoot one corner, the beauty of this is you have a square cut of your new panel and an out of square shelf. You're actually going to use this new stronger back panel to manipulate the shelf into position to the perfectly square cut back panel. When you do that, you can then fire off the rest and you now have a square shelf to work with. Another little tip, when you're filling in the actual shelves, if what you purchased didn't come with them, I love going to estate sales, and if the house is about to hit the market or go to a remodel, I often ask the auctioneer if they have the actual shelves in the closets of the house for sale, and a lot of times they just give them to you, but I'm happy to throw cash because it's cheaper than buying lumber for a project like this. This isn't a video about flattening a board, but if you had to, you obviously want to take off as much material as possible on the sides of the cupping. So if I have to take off 4 inches total, I'm not just going to rip 4 inches. I'm going to take 2 inches off the left, 2 inches off the right to alleviate some of that cupping and crown. A power planer is useful, but it's not going to be perfect, and on these old boards with really tight grain that are flat sawn, you're just going to have a hard time getting them perfectly flat. Using mechanical fasteners will help when they hit your project, but shelves just depends. Don't expect perfect results. On the note of perfect results in furniture flipping, a stain will enhance your screw ups. I used to think differently when I first started. It's a misconception. It will enhance blotchiness if you have different grits that you've sanded to, and it will also show your pigtailing and your nicks and your scratches. So don't think that stain is just a coverall. If you're going to use stain, take your time and finish it appropriately. Here you can see the pigtails on my project, which this one's just going in my house, but it's definitely nothing that I would send off to a client. I would sand that completely to finish at 220 if that was the case, or a better 150. Scuff sanding these knobs, stain will only penetrate wood that has open wood grain. So unless you're sanding all the way through the finish, don't expect to get perfect refinish results. This is for touch-up use only, and then properly clean the excess stain because it's just sitting on top of old clear coat. So here's the finished product. Really happy with how they turned out because they did flatten out. I mechanically attached them underneath. The color works, the room works. It's just a guest room in our house that we're redoing right now. And it was an incredibly cheap retrofit of a cabinet that otherwise probably should have just gone to the landfill, which is something I'm really against. Obviously construction, my industry, a lot of waste. I don't feel great about it, so I try and reuse and recycle the best of my ability. So if you guys are into flipping furniture or building your own cabinets, this video is just highlighting a great technique of helping you square up a racked project. And quite simply, you're going to cut a new back panel, preferably with something like 1/4 inch plywood. If that cut is perfectly square to itself, meaning if you run a tape diagonal, the number is the same, it means that anything that matches that will also be perfectly square. So you can then rack your shelf to the back panel as you are gluing and stapling or screwing it off, and it will end up with a shelf that matches the back panel, which mathematically matches square. Shelving, check out a garage sale, check out estate sales, and it never hurts to ask because lumber's expensive, and if you are doing furniture flipping, you often need it for things just like this, adding shelves to a cheap piece without having to break the budget. Never hurts to ask. So again, squaring up the back of a cabinet is an incredibly useful tip that I've actually used in casework as well. for commercial clients. It really helps when you're building just boxes. It's a pro move, but it's very DIY friendly. If you guys have any questions on it, let me know in the comments. And if you have any other methods of getting really great recycled lumber, not barnwood, not reclaimed, just kind of recycling projects, let me know in the comments. I always love to hear that kind of stuff. I'm really big into it. Always love saving a buck. If you guys like what you're seeing, do us a favor, give it a thumbs up. And if you really like it, consider subscribing. See you guys on the next one.